It's like almost 100.
This ankle, it just builds up. This ankle, I like.
All right, folks.
It's not my fault, yeah? I don't know.
I'm not.
Sorry.
On your ATV. Oh, yeah.
If we did, if we had that, just let me do it.
All right, hey, all right. Sorry, I had email issues. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna watch a quick little couple clips to review from back in the day, okay? On this Thursday, I'm gonna stop it, then we're gonna play some games. Now listen, okay? I'm gonna tell you a couple things. Tomorrow, the late arrival day, of course, but you're going to head to MAO first thing in the morning, okay? You've got sorry, that's the junior high auditorium. Tomorrow is your test, okay? Come with your computers charged, okay? You'll be taken on there just like any other test, okay? Also, just to let you know, okay, this is not a Manchester High School rule. We're not trying to like be mean. You just can't have your phones on your person. Either leave them, okay, you're locked or your bag, or like give them to the teacher. Also, I watch them. They're going to be around there. I won't be there because I have, unfortunately, my classes in the morning are not bio, okay? I have 5th and 7th, that's it. So I'm teaching first period anatomy, 2nd and 8th and 3rd anatomy, yes. I would say, like it's 8:35 is when school starts, right? So I would go there first, right? Don't go to your first period class, go right over there. Yeah, good. Yep.
I'm gonna go there last.
I think eat breakfast beforehand. I don't think they're gonna have breakfast. I've heard nothing about breakfast. I don't know for sure. Okay. All right. Now listen. Shh. Now the other thing is this. This is new. Typically in the past, they would not let you have anything. If you bring a book, you can read a book. So bring your own book with you. So you can check that out afterwards. Okay. Now I am begging you. Okay. Please. Okay. Try. Okay. All I'm asking is for you to try on this. And I believe every single person in this room, okay, has learned something this year, okay, and either it's something that maybe you've learned before and you reinforced it, or maybe it was a whole new concept. Diego. I do not. Unfortunately, I know, wouldn't it be nice? I used to make this your final exam. Now, I don't know, like, when you're going to get the results. In the past, we got results like right away. And 2 years ago, last year, of course, COVID, we didn't have it. But 2 years ago, we didn't get it until the summer. I have no idea with this new test. I don't know anything about it. I don't know like how many questions there are. I know that tomorrow's longer than the one on Thursday. Both of them are going to be in the morning. Okay, but I will tell you that we're going to kind of celebrate some of the things we learned. We're going to chill the rest of the week. I got a movie that I want to show you. And then Dr. Lippy just approved, and I cannot believe this. We're going to go to the Finn. Okay, now look, that's going to be next week. So how this is going to shake out is this. Half of you will go with me. Half of you will stay and study all, right? And then we'll flip-flop. Okay, so we'll probably do this on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. So Monday, we'll kind of like get organized. Okay, and then Tuesday and Thursday, we'll do Finn. Okay, so that means we're going to be taking these boots. Okay, I will give you kind of like an idea of like, okay, here's what you need to do as far as like keeping yourself on. Yeah. No, bring your own buck boots, 100%. That helps me actually, yes. Okay, you're going to have one kind of like last little test. Okay, but it won't be bad. Yes.
Where is this?
Okay, this to me, honestly, Oliver, is like when Jerry Bollinger, it's private property, but when he told me about this place, I swear to you that I thought, A, he was lying, And then that B, I just didn't believe it was real. He called me up one summer and goes, I bought this property. He's like, I got this biologist coming. The biologist that showed up at his property, he goes, you want to come out and hang out with us? I go, yeah. The guy, Scott Namstek, is now the Indiana State biologist. He's in charge of basically all plants in Indiana. And I'm happy to call this guy my friend. He's a super cool guy, and I'm thankful that I got to meet him that day. We've interacted several times since then. But so Scott went out there, and he's like, 100% this is a fin. Okay, because I know it's a fin for one reason. Yes, all the plants, but the smell. So you're going to notice to me, it's one of the most magical places ever. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before, and it's 5 miles
What's
away.
it smell like?
It's crazy.
Is it good?
You'll just see. Okay, I have lost a couple kids out there. Okay, but luckily we were able to retrieve them. But the fin actually sucked them down in. So
Really?
we're gonna have to be somewhat careful.
Wait, really?
Okay, yeah, like not lying.
No, he's joking.
Ask Frank Roth. I had Frank Roth. We had to dig him out of the fin, basically. I'm not.
Is
I
it like a
promise you.
bubble? So it's like a
Hand on a Bible.
So it's like a bubble.
It's like a land with water with land. So when you step on it, it's bouncy.
So it's like a trampoline
Like,
When you jump on it,
or a water bed.
Okay,
1, 2, 3,
so we're gonna go there during 7th period at the beginning, and then you're gonna take us back toward the end of 7th period. Okay, not
it's
much.
all gonna happen very fast. But that's why we're gonna prepare beforehand.
yeah.
6, please, 6. I'm gonna spin on
I'm not
6.
going to say.
No, please.
I'm gonna have a size problem.
What size shoe? 14. I got 13. All right,
I think I have.
let's watch this quick clip and then we're gonna play a couple games.
Yeah. Isaac, what's your shoe size? 13.
Those ones just got thrown at me.
Diego, what's your shoe size?
All right.
Whoever drew that song.
Hey, that size 13.
Okay, give me your attention for just a couple minutes. I want to review a couple concepts.
Organisms are doing all those, it's not just plants, but it's animals and parts of this glycolysis go way back. So all life on our planet is using some form of glycolysis. This diagram is a little too complex. What's going on with glycolysis? We're basically breaking glucose, which is a 6-carbon molecule, down into 2 pyruvate molecules, which are each 3 carbon.
Remember my goal here. One thing I've said again and again, why do we eat food? To open doors. How do I open doors with ATP? How do I get ATP, mitochondria, and
When
respiration?
we net out of this, we make a little bit of ATP out of this. Where's the energy going? The energy is going into a molecule called NAD or NADH. And you can see it way back here when you get to oxidative phosphorylation. What happens to that pyruvate? It again becomes something called acetyl-CoA and then goes into the Krebs cycle. What's the big thing? Again, don't learn all these intermediates. That'd be silly. But the big thing that's going on in here is that we're giving off that carbon as carbon dioxide. That's the carbon dioxide that you breathe out. Where's all this taking place? It's in the matrix or in the inside of that mitochondria. Where's the big show when it comes to cellular respiration? You can see NAD right here is dropping off an electron and it's going down the electron transport chain. Another thing that's made in the Krebs cycle is going to be FAD. And what's FAD doing? It's carrying other electrons and hydrogen. They're dropping their electrons a little bit farther down. But what are we using that energy to do? We're using it to pump protons from the matrix out into this intermembrane space of the mitochondria. All of these positive protons don't want to be there. And so as they flow back through ATP synthase, then we make ATP. Now, what are some questions they could ask you? Well, let's say we dye the carbon in glucose with some kind of a radioactive dye or marker. Where are we going to find that? Well, you should be able to figure out where's the carbon going and be able to answer application type questions like that. When it goes to photosynthesis, there are 2 parts to photosynthesis. You have the light part, which is going to be the light reaction. Where's that occur in a chloroplast? That's going to be in the thylakoid membrane. And then you have the Calvin cycle. What's going on there? That's going to take place in the stroma, and that's where we're actually making the sugars. And so,
Okay, so remember, cellular respiration and photosynthesis are the exact opposite. We're making ATP, energy. We're also releasing carbon dioxide. The plants are taking the carbon dioxide and giving us sugar that we'll use for ATP, right? Or oxygen that we'll use for respiration in our own system. Okay? Yep.
Different, but they work together.
They do. This is in plants, and the other one is in animals. Though plants also do a little cell respiration. Okay, now on to the DNA stuff.
And here's a nucleotide right down here. There are 3 parts to it. You have a phosphate, we've got a sugar, it'd be deoxyribose in DNA and ribose in RNA. And then you have some kind of a base up above that. Now, if we zoom into this nucleotide right here, we could count the carbon atoms. So there'd be 1, 2, 3 carbons, 4, 5 carbons.
Okay, so remember we got 5 and 3 sitting in a tree, KSSING. Remember they're anti-parallel. We had our phosphate, our sugar, and then our nitrogenous base was either an A, a T, a C, or G.
And so on this side, so we're facing up, would be the 5' end of this nucleotide. And then on the downside, it's going to be the 3'. And so how does DNA run? It just runs in opposite directions. So it's anti-parallel. And so on this side, it'd be running from the 5 to the 3. And on the other side, it'd be running from the 5 to the 3, which will become important in just a second. What's the other differences between DNA and RNA? DNA has got deoxyribose sugar versus ribose sugar. It also has thymine versus uracil we'd find in RNA. And then, of course, a DNA is going to be a double helix and RNA is going to be a single helix. What is the cell cycle?
Here's a cell cycle. Remember this? We looked at all those cells, and when we looked at all those whitefish blastula cells, most of them were in interphase. Very small bit was mitosis. That was prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Don't forget, I picked my anus thoroughly. Or I'll pick my anus tomorrow, or I pick my anus today. Okay? Oh, forgot what I did here.
Continues to grow, and then it eventually goes through the M phase. What's happening then? Well, that's where it's either doing mitosis, if we're making exact copies of the cell, or it's doing meiosis, if we're making the gametes. After that, we divide the cell. That's called cytokinesis, and then we eventually have 2 cells. Now, some cells don't keep copying themselves over and over and over again, so like muscle or nerve, and so they just stay in this G0 phase. And so to understand the life of a cell, you really have to understand how does the DNA copy itself? So that would be during the S phase. And then how does it do the job of the cell? How does it make RNA and eventually make proteins and control the cell? And so let's start with the mitosis and meiosis part. So
I'm going to switch to the meiosis.
Yeah,
Right?
I think
Mitosis, again, we're just making the same cell, but don't forget with meiosis, we're either making sperm or eggs. This prophase one is so key. Don't forget crossing over. When we threw the box around and we looked at like how a piece of that chromosome crosses over and that increases genetic diversity. Okay. Again, these were some earlier concepts, stuff that you may have forgotten. DNA unzips itself thanks to enzymes. Enzymes are a lot like keys. This does not start my car, but it unlocks my room. This one starts my car. It would be like the primase versus over here, the topoisomerase. Okay. Those 2 different ones, very specific to their job. Okay. All right. Just a quick little reminder. Also, I like showing these to make you think that I'm not making this stuff up. Other people are talking. Sometimes like, Bert, yeah. Does he know what he's talking about? All right. Here's what I want you to open up we're going to do a couple quizzes, and we're going to do we won't do teams today. I want to do a quick little biology DNA review. No, not gravity. I don't know. The other class was ticking me off because they like nobody was contributing. I'm all for it. I like the teams, but hey, if nobody's gonna participate.
I'll participate. I do better.
We could try a team. Go get them.